Thank you, Dr. Soja. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Ramil Clark, the former Attorney General of USA, Mr. Iqbal Haider, Mr. Rashid Azizvi, Mr. and other ladies sitting on the dais. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. We feel reassured with the presence of Mr. Ramil Clark, a former Attorney General of USA, being present in this seminar. It shows the commitment and the way the Americans feel for the rule of law and for due process of law. It's a great reassurance to all of us. And we hope that when we go back to this country, we will convey the feeling of the crowd, the people who are here, to these people of the America, that how they feel about Aafia's case. What I have read in the paper and the material that is available on the net, this shows, with due respect I must say, to the judicial process which has been followed in this case, a total failure of due process of American provision of Constitution and violation of the human rights of a person who is accused of a criminal offense. Mr. Clark, you must be aware that there are certain set principles for the criminal trials. A person accused of an offense has certain rights which are always preserved and protected by the court and by the prosecutors. This is a well-known principle of law, that a person accused of an offense has a right to be defended by a lawyer, by a legal practitioner of his or her own choice. It is very, you see, I read it with concern that when the trial of Aafia was going on, she made a request to the court that she may be allowed to engage a special or a particular lawyer, but she was denied that right. And the reason given was very strange. The presiding officer said that she is not in a fit state of mind to select the counsel to give her the instructions. If it was so, then I am fair to understand how can a person in such a state of mind could be at all be prosecuted for any criminal offense, because this is a total failure of the criminal procedure or a law to prosecute a person accused of a criminal offense. If a person is not in a state of mind that he can defend himself, how can you prosecute him? Then a person who is accused of an offense, he cannot be called upon to be a witness in a case. He cannot be examined on oath according to our laws. The facts which have appeared on the net and which have appeared in the media, according to those facts, Aafia was accused of offences that she had links with the Al-Qaeda, and she was in the wanted list of the FBI. It is very strange that when her trial took place, this very essential allegation against Aafia was never put to her. She was tried for a different offense, and that was that she tried to attempted in a land which is Afghanistan, that she wanted to murder and attempted to murder an American soldier. This is very strange that a person who was initially wanted by the FBI on the allegation that she has links with Al-Qaeda, and for that the American government never applied to the government of Pakistan, and as has been rightly pointed out by my friends Mr. Anwar Mansoor Khan and Rashid Azizvi, as well as Mr. Balhagar, that a person who is accused of a criminal offense belonging to a different country must be extradited according to the treaty between the two countries of the world. Now Pakistan if it had a treaty with the Americans for extradition, then it was incumbent on the government of America to have applied for extradition of Aafia to the government of Pakistan. And unless she is extradited according to the law of extradition, she could not stand a trial in America. This is the first objection to the trial which has taken place in America. The second great objection to the trial of Aafia was, and which in my opinion has resulted the failure of justice, was that she was accused of an offence having been committed in Afghanistan. How could the American courts have jurisdiction to try an offence which has been committed in Afghanistan? And if they wanted to try her, then the only course open to the American government was either to send her for trial to Afghanistan or to Pakistan for proper trial. There was one allegation that Aafia was an American national, but this has been substantially denied by her, and there is a lot of material available to show that Aafia was never and at no time was the national of a US. She being a Pakistani, she could not be tried in America, and she should have been sent back to Pakistan for trial if there was any such allegation against her. I hope Mr. Clark will represent American public opinion, and I am sure the American people have a great love for human rights. They always stand for upholding the rights of the people, and I am sure you will use your influence to see that the trial, it was a mistrial, it was a tragic failure of justice, it was a trial without jurisdiction. The American courts, in my opinion, never had the jurisdiction to try a person who was accused of an offence having been committed in a foreign territory, unless the accused was extradited according to standard American law or according to standard international law. No request was ever made by the American government to the government of Pakistan for extraditing Aafia. She was on the record, according to the material available on the net, she was abducted. That was itself a crime, and therefore a crime, a custody of a person who is accused of an offence which has been obtained through a criminal act cannot be a substitute for the purposes of a fair trial or a substitute for a trial or a legal trial of a person. So please let us try to resolve this in a manner that it upholds the rule of law, it upholds the due process of law for which the Americans have always fought. And they have fought for everywhere. They have been telling all over the world that we stand for the violation to protect the violations of human rights. How could, in this case, they have failed to do it? You see, you must remember that in the beginning, the Supreme Court of America has refused to interfere in the case of Guantanamo. The prisoners who were in Guantanamo, the Supreme Court said, the Supreme Court of America has no territorial jurisdiction over the persons who are detained in Guantanamo. But they resolved to revise their views, and they said, all right, they should have a right of appeal to the civilian court and to the Supreme Court of America. They have been revising such, if there's such a failure of justice, which is obviously the case of Aafia, they could have revised it. The government of America should take up this case. Mr. Zaman has very well pointed out, my learned friends who have preceded me in the system, they have pointed out that the ample of power available to the President of Pakistan under Article 2 of the American Constitution, they should be avenged fully, and they should take every step to undo the injustice which has been done to the case of Aafia. An injustice should not be allowed to be prevailed in the American jurisdiction, in the American law. And I hope, Mr. Clark, you will use your influence as a public representative of America and a person representing the American people here in Pakistan. You will use your influence, you will do everything which is in your capacity to do, to see that justice is done to the Aafia. I don't say that don't do. If she is accused of an offence, send her back to the country where she is accused of. Send her to Pakistan for trial. How could you try? I fail to understand how could the American court could have jurisdiction to try a person who is accused of an offence having been committed in Pakistan or in Afghanistan. Whereas your courts have no extraterritorial jurisdiction. Similarly, under the international law, no country has the right to promulgate law or to enforce the law out of its territory. The American law or the Pakistan law has no extraterritorial application. Therefore, if you want to enforce the law of America outside America, you can't do it. It is a well-settled international law. Therefore, I would say that you must see that the wrong done to Aafia is rectified. Justice is brought to her. And if you still think that she is accused of an officer, then send her to the place where she is alleged to have committed the crime, and let her stand a fair trial, and let her have the justice delivered to her. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all of you. Sabko bhook lag rahi hai. We had high tea. We conclude.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu alayka Rasulil Kareem. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مالك يا ذو الجلال والاکرام یا کریم الاحسان. یا اللہ پاک ہمارے اس پلیٹ فارم پہ جمع ہونے کے مقصد کو قبول فرما لیں. اللہ پاک ہماری اس چھوٹی سی محنت کو اپنے دربار میں قبول فرما لیں. یا اللہ پاک یہ جتنے بھی لوگ جمع ہوئے ہیں ان کی برکت سے یا اللہ پاک ہماری بہن کو رہا فرما دے. یا اللہ پاک اس نیک مقصد میں ہمیں کامیابی عطا فرمائے، ثابت قدمی عطا فرمائے، لوگوں کی معاونت عطا فرمائے، مالی معاونت عطا فرمائے، مورال کی معاونت عطا فرمائے. یا اللہ پاک اس مقصد کو جلد سے جلد تکمیل پہنچا دیں، اور جتنے بھی لوگوں نے اس مقصد کو تکمیل کرنے کے لیے حصہ ڈالا ان سب کو یا اللہ پاک اس کا اجر عطا فرمائے. آمین یا رب العالمین.